Tonight, the campaign to get education workers vaccinated is ramping up.
We're working with kids, so we really needed to have the booster shot.
Hundreds of education workers lining up in Mississauga this evening. The province beginning its campaign to prioritize them for shots in hopes of getting kids back in class in 10 days. Plus,
there are a million businesses that are going to slip through the cracks of the program.
the province announces another round of grants for small businesses in light of the new restrictions. But some say the amount might not be enough or cover all affected businesses. And
what is being done? Where is the urgency to do anything to protect these residents and these workers?
calls for more to be done to protect those in long-term care homes as a record number of staff get infected with Omicron. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. It's a record we never wanted to break, but tonight more Ontarians are in hospital with COVID-19 than at any other time during the pandemic. Let's get right to the numbers. There are 2,472 COVID patients in hospital, a 116% jump from just 1 week ago. The previous high of 2,360 hospitalizations came on April 20th last year during the height of the third wave. And meanwhile, 338 COVID patients are in intensive care. Among those, almost 70% are not fully vaccinated or have an unknown status. Now, one thing remains clear. Officials say preventing hospitalizations through vaccinations is a top priority. And the push is on tonight to get teachers, students, and their families protected. A mass vaccination clinic in Mississauga began giving education workers priority access to vaccinations this evening. As our Dale Manukduk reports, many who showed up were relieved to get the opportunity.
The mass vaccination clinic at the International Center was firing on all cylinders today. Education workers were grateful to receive priority appointments between 4:30 and 8 p.m., which will be available 7 days a week.
I was on a wait list at Shoppers, and they had told me it would be 2 to 3 weeks before I could even get an appointment.
Everything came up as nothing available through both the province and through the pharmacies.
There was an email sent by my board, and they had a phone number there, so I just called the phone number and I told them I was an education worker, and that's all it took.
In a statement, Minister of Education Stephen Lecce writes, "We thank education and childcare staff, operators, and all Ontario families for their hard work, vigilance, and kindness through this incredibly difficult time. The priority appointments are just one measure from the province as it aims to hit the January 17th target date to reopen schools."
We've also added 18 million rapid tests since September throughout the schools, and as we get more from the federal government, we'll continue to distribute that.
The Ministry of Education is working with other local public health units to set up similar clinics across the province. The clinic manager here says hundreds of education staff booked appointments, but they're taking walk-ins as well.
We've been blessed to be able to vaccinate thousands of people each and every day and increasing our numbers day over day. So this is just an additional group that we are blessed to be able to offer service to.
Now this Sunday at Woodbine Mall and Scarborough Town Centre, the City of Toronto will be running their own education worker clinics. I spoke to the chair of Toronto's Board of Health, Joe Cressy. He tells me that every single appointment has been filled. That's 1,760 education workers signed up to get the job. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
The province announced today another round of grants for small businesses affected by the latest restrictions. The modified Stage 2 requires restaurants to stop indoor dining and gyms to close their doors. And while news of the grants is good news for many, as Ali Chiasson reports, there are concerns that some affected businesses will still get left behind.
Let's break down what this small business grant is. According to the release, it's a $10,000 payment for businesses at risk of closing during this latest lockdown. They'll start taking applications in the coming weeks, so no exact date there. Those that eventually qualify can expect their payment in February. Who is this for? Eligible businesses include restaurants and bars, fitness centers and gyms, performing arts and cinemas, before and after school programs, museums, galleries, aquariums, zoos, and more.
This is certainly a positive development that the Ontario government is stepping up with some grant money for the businesses that is pushing back into lockdown. But gosh, there are a million businesses that are going to slip through the cracks of the program.
Noticeably excluded from the grant, retail. Stores don't qualify.
also misses all of those that supply some of the sectors that are locked down. So if you're a restaurant supply company or somebody that provides linens to a restaurant, you're not going to get any of the money despite the fact that your business has just been gutted.
But the province also announced some hydro relief. They're capping it at the below peak rate for all hours of the day for 21 days. The Premier announced all this at an unrelated photo op today.
A $10,000 grant. They're going to make sure that they have no cost to their property taxes along with their energy cost. So we're there to support the businesses.
Decent if the lockdown does indeed last 3 weeks. If it goes much longer than that,
$10,000 will be burned through super fast, and businesses are not going to be able to reap the benefit.
there is also the federal worker lockdown benefit for those affected by the restrictions at $300 a month, significantly less than what the Canada Recovery Benefit was in previous lockdowns.
Governments are putting in place the same restrictions that were in place at earlier rounds of the pandemic without all of the provincial supports, the federal supports that are necessary to help these businesses make it.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
As we told you earlier this week, the Omicron variant is spreading quickly in Ontario's long-term care homes. More staff in the homes are getting infected than at any other time during the pandemic. And more residents have died from COVID in just the past 3 days than in any month since last February. Our Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has more.
This is Shepherd Lodge in Toronto. Provincial figures show it has more active cases of COVID-19 among staff and residents than any long-term care home in Ontario.
It's terrifying families, and rightfully so. We've watched what happens when we don't pay attention to the most vulnerable and get them everything that they need to be able to withstand another wave of the virus.
Another home where Omicron is spreading rapidly. Extendicare Scarborough, with 60 cases among staff and residents. According to Public Health Ontario, half of the province's 600-plus long-term care homes are dealing with outbreaks.
What is being done? Where is the urgency to do anything to protect these residents and these workers? I'm not seeing anything.
For months, there were never more than a handful of active COVID cases in Ontario's long-term care homes. That has changed drastically with Omicron. Now, nearly 2,000 long-term care staff have a confirmed active case of COVID-19, a record high for the pandemic. In addition, more than 1,000 residents are known to be infected.
Obviously, we're taking this very seriously. The operators are taking this very seriously. We're working closely with public health. But we need to maintain that vigilance, and we need to do everything we can as community members to reduce the level of spread in our communities.
COVID-19 has killed some 4,000 long-term care residents in this province. Those deaths all but ground to a halt last spring, once Ontario's vaccination campaign got rolling. A year ago, long-term care staff and residents were given first priority for vaccines.
We've been ahead of the game in terms of making sure that boosters got done, that staff vaccinations got done, that the work now on fourth doses is getting done, that N95s are in place, that HEPA filters are being put in place. So we are taking the necessary steps.
Since last March, Ontario saw on average just 9 COVID-related deaths per month in long-term care, but in the past 3 days alone, 16 residents with COVID have died. More than half of current resident cases are reported to be asymptomatic or mild, leading to some hope that Ontario's homes won't see a repeat of the waves of death during the pandemic's earlier stages. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
Meteorologist Nick Cernkovich joins me now with a first look at the forecast. And Nick, bitterly cold today. I had my big winter coat on, but was still feeling that chill.
A lot of people sharing that sentiment, Kelda. Extreme cold in the city of Toronto, especially as we head through the overnight period tonight. Now, here's a look at daytime highs for today, and we've had temperatures that didn't pass -7 degrees. Now, to put that in perspective, the normals for this time of year, our high would be around -2 or thereabouts, our low about -10. We hit -7, and last night, a little bit closer to the average at about -12 degrees through the overnight period. Now, tonight we've got clear skies, and that's helping to drop temperatures. We're going to see temperatures down in the minus double digits. And of course, with the wind chills closer to about minus 20. And as we move through tomorrow morning, we've got a little bit of sunshine and then some cloud cover developing through the afternoon before this system heads for the GTA on Sunday. Now, we'll talk about that coming up in just a bit. For now, though, here's a look at the next 24 hours. Minus 13 with a wind chill of about minus 17. Through the morning, though, we'll see a wind chill of minus 20. Tomorrow, it starts to warm up, and that sets the trend for the weekend. We'll have your full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Thanks so much, Nick. A collision on the Don Valley Parkway early this morning left 3 people injured, 1 in life-threatening condition. Toronto police say a vehicle that was driving north crossed the median into southbound traffic. The crash shut down the highway for most of the morning. Police are asking any witnesses to contact them. Meanwhile, police are still searching for the driver of a dark sedan after a fatal hit and run last night. The collision was the first of 2 in Scarborough within 24 hours. A second man was struck this morning and was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. A road safety advocate says it once again shows more needs to be done to protect pedestrians in the GTA. Natalie Collada has this story.
2 pedestrians struck in less than 24 hours. The first last night near Lawrence and Midland.
The pedestrian was crossing mid-block from the north side of the intersection to the south side of the intersection. The pedestrian was then struck by an eastbound vehicle in the eastbound lanes.
The dark sedan didn't stop. A 78-year-old man was taken to hospital where he died of his injuries. Police have a message for the driver.
To the individual that was involved, sometimes we kind of think of things in our head and we make a decision, a spontaneous decision. What I'm asking for that individual to do is to do the right thing and to come forward.
Police gathered evidence, witness statements, and nearby security video. Then, just after 9:30 this morning, another crash, another pedestrian struck. The man taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries.
Disheartened but not surprised.
Advocates for safer streets say more needs to be done.
Better target enforcement would help as well. But we know right now that with COVID, staffing levels are down, fewer people are taking transits, and the roads have become open to all sorts of behavior.
Marshall is calling for concrete changes to Toronto streets, particularly along suburban arterial roads.
Safer places for pedestrians to cross is another one. Medians, better lighting, for example, would make it easier for pedestrians to be seen by motorists and make it easier for pedestrians to cross busy streets.
Investigators are asking anyone in the area of either accident with dash camera video to come forward and contact police. Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
Trailblazing actor Sidney Poitier has died. Born in the U.S. and raised in the Bahamas, Poitier appeared in more than 50 films, breaking barriers along the way and blazing a trail for Black actors in Hollywood.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
That line from his iconic performance as police detective Virgil Tibbs in the Oscar-winning film In the Heat of the Night. It was one of his many roles that dealt with race and transformed how Black people were portrayed in film. One biographer dubbed him the Martin Luther King of the movies. Poitier became the first African-American actor to be nominated for an Academy Award in 1958, and he became the first Black man to win an Oscar for Best Actor in 1964 for his role in Lilies of the Field. Sidney Poitier was 94. Welcome back. As COVID-19 cases keep going up across the country, Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos says Canadians are tired and that Canada's healthcare system is fragile, adding that in his personal view, provinces may likely turn to mandatory vaccination to deal with the pandemic.
PPE, physical distancing, tests, rapid tests, PCR tests, these are all very important tools. But what will make us move through this crisis and end it is vaccination. That's why I'm signaling this as a conversation which I believe provinces and territories, in support with the federal government, will want to have over the next weeks and months.
But Duclos stress vaccine policies are up to the provinces. Meanwhile, with testing capacities being overwhelmed by the sheer volume of infections, health officials say reported case counts may be underestimated. They say high test positivity rates still suggest there is a significant amount of community transmission. Canadians are again being urged to get vaccinated, as evidence shows boosters offer better protection against severe illness. Despite the push to get everyone vaccinated, the Ontario Association of Pharmacists says roughly 50% of people being offered a Moderna dose are refusing the shot. It's prompting new calls tonight, urging the public to get the first vaccine they're offered, no matter the brand. Lisa Shing has more.
I think if the numbers hadn't been climbing as rapidly as they are right now, I probably would have waited.
Jason Chomick got his third dose on New Year's Day. He initially wanted Pfizer, but didn't hold out like he did for his second shot.
I'm glad that I got the booster for sure, but still concerned around long-term effects of mixing the vaccines.
Because of supply issues with Pfizer, doses are being reserved for young people. In most regions, people 30 and up are being given Moderna. That's 18 and up in Toronto. Some who can't get Pfizer are choosing to shop around.
At one of the clinics I work at, we give primarily Pfizer. But I can tell you that some people come in and they only want Pfizer. And so when they sit down in the chair, they immediately confirm with me, am I getting Pfizer?
At some pharmacies that just give Moderna,
so they may cancel their appointment, they may walk out. But I'd say about 50% of the people that want to get a Pfizer are not opting to get a Moderna. So that's creating some real challenges.
we saw the same thing last spring during the rollout of second doses, and that's why officials are telling the public now is not the time to be choosy.
I personally got my booster shot just yesterday, and I'm happy to say it was Moderna.
Either Pfizer, BioNTech, or Moderna mRNA vaccines are effective as boosters, so please feel confident in accepting whichever vaccine is offered to you.
The Ontario Pharmacists Association says there's more brand awareness around the Pfizer vaccine, especially since many got it for their first or second dose. It also points out people aren't used to health policies evolving in real time. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
You're looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline. It will be mainly clear overnight with a few cloudy periods, and it's a very chilly one. Currently, it's -9 in the city, but feeling more like -17 with that wind chill. Let's go back to Nick now with a look at your extended forecast. And Nick, a bit of a relief from the cold over the weekend before it makes a comeback.
Yeah, we've got sort of a roller coaster ride in our temperatures over the next 5 days. We've, of course, got this extreme cold weather alert in effect for the GTA for tonight. But as we move through tomorrow, we'll see a bit of a warm up, and that's going to last through the weekend. We've also got a windy weekend in store as well. All that coming up as we move through the 5-day forecast. So here's what we're looking at tonight. Basically clear skies, and that's going to help to drop our temperatures. Now, sort of the good news in this is that we've got lighter winds, so the wind chills are not going to be perhaps as bad as they could be. But that being said, when the temperatures get down into the minus double digits, it really doesn't take much to drop that wind chill. We're still looking at wind chills close to the -20 mark tonight across the Golden Horseshoe. Clear skies into tomorrow morning. As we head through the afternoon, a brief wave of sort of cloud cover. That could bring a few flurries, but more in the way of cloud cover heading into Saturday night. And through the overnight period, we've got this next system that's moving through. And you'll notice we're sitting right on the transition line there. So it could be some freezing precipitation or freezing drizzle, freezing rain for some areas around the Golden Horseshoe. Also some rain showers as well as we move through sort of warmer temperatures into Sunday morning. But then by Sunday afternoon, and Sunday evening, we see the cold weather start to drop in again and snow squalls develop once more as we move through Sunday night into Monday. So a mixed bag here in terms of precip and temperatures as well. Not expecting accumulations for the GTA, but areas to the north, of course, will. And winds, as I mentioned as well, are going to be a factor. Now, tomorrow morning, fairly light, but into the afternoon out of the south at about 20 kilometers per hour. And by Sunday morning, gusts up to 50, even 60 kilometers per hour for the GTA. Southwestern Ontario tonight looking at temperatures that are going to be around -13, but windier there. So wind chills of -25 down in southwestern Ontario. For the GTA, not quite that bad, but -20. Looks a little bit warmer into Sunday, but then a drop in temperatures for Monday and next week. Kelda.
Thanks so much, Nick. As Nick told us earlier, we can expect more cold weather in the coming week, but that's not stopping some Toronto restaurants from finding ways to welcome customers outdoors now that indoor dining is closed. Take a look.
Oh, there we go. It's a warm spot. We try to keep it as hot as possible. Each one of the booths has one of these over top. It's just a natural gas heater piped in. We've got the overhead rail heaters above us, and we've got an awning that stays out that keeps all the heat in. And then we have some fire towers as well that we kind of strategically place as the patio gets sat throughout the night, try to keep everybody as warm as possible. The guest experience is everything to us. We do want them to bundle up. It is Canada. It is minus 15 at times, but I think we've done a very, very good job with all of our heaters and our social distancing and keeping everybody as comfortable as possible.
What we have done here at 1830 is create a winter wonderland in heat. We have circus tents set up with strategically placed heaters that create a warm atmosphere for people to come in and enjoy a meal. It is incredible what we've managed to do with our heating design. You walk in and it's like a summer's day in here. We are social creatures. We need to be around our friends and our family, and that's what we're trying to do here, is create a safe space where people can come, have a meal with family or friends and enjoy themselves.
Here is the patio door. It's pretty toasty. The temperature in the patio is estimated 27 degrees. So it's actually warmer outdoor than indoor. We got these heaters. Each one is 50,000 BTUs. We put some vapor barrier in order to prevent the heat loss. And we also have an awning, weatherproof as well. It's just to contain the heat. I mean, we're gonna do what we can in order to pay the bills.
And finally, as the pandemic drags on, many of us may be feeling the need to vent our frustration without hurting others. One vocal coach has an idea she calls Screech at the Beach. One of her clients says that after being cooped up indoors all day, screaming at the sea offers her a sense of freedom. One expert says such controlled outbursts can be an important way to cope with the stress of lockdowns. It reflects a desire to show that you are not powerless and there's no danger of the sea yelling back at you. Might just have to give that a try. And that's our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Shannon Martin has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. Have a great weekend, everyone.